In the bustling heart of the city, amidst the towering buildings and the constant hum of traffic, there was a small, unnoticed corner where the world seemed to slow down. It was here that I first saw him, a beggar who sat quietly by the roadside, his appearance barely catching the eye of the hurried passersby. His clothes were tattered and worn, his hair unkempt, and his eyes held a weariness that spoke of a life filled with hardship. I was on my way to work, rushing as usual, when something made me glance in his direction. Perhaps it was the faint smile on his lips or the calmness in his demeanor, despite the harshness of his circumstances. For a brief moment, our eyes met, and I saw something in them, something that made me pause. There was a depth, a quiet dignity that belied his outward appearance. I couldn't quite place it, but there was something about him that intrigued me. Days turned into weeks, and each morning, I found myself looking for him as I walked past that corner. He was always there, sitting quietly, never asking for anything, never bothering anyone. I began to feel a strange connection to him, as though we were two souls who had crossed paths for a reason. One day, on an impulse, I decided to stop and talk to him. I bought 2 cups of coffee from a nearby vendor and approached him cautiously. "Hi," I said, handing him the coffee. "Would you like to share a cup with me?" He looked up at me, surprised, and then smiled, a smile that lit up his entire face. "Thank you," he replied, his voice soft and gentle. "I would like that very much." We sat together in that little corner, sipping our coffee and talking. I learned that his name was Daniel, and that life had not been kind to him. He had once had a family, a job, a home, but a series of unfortunate events had taken it all away. His job loss, the death of his wife, and the subsequent spiral into homelessness. Yet, despite everything, he had not lost hope. He spoke with a quiet strength, a resilience that moved me deeply. There was no bitterness in his words, no anger at the world for what it had taken from him. Instead, there was a profound acceptance, a wisdom that comes only from having faced the harshest of life's trials and emerging stronger. Our daily coffee chats became a routine. I began to look forward to those moments more than anything else in my day. We talked about everything: his past, my life, our dreams, and the world around us. Through these conversations, I began to see the world through his eyes, to understand the depth of his experiences and the strength of his spirit. I found myself opening up to him in ways I hadn't with anyone else. There was something about Daniel that made me feel safe, understood, and accepted. He listened with genuine interest, offering insights that were both profound and comforting. Slowly, without even realizing it, I began to fall for him. Not for who he was on the outside, but for the incredible person he was on the inside. One day, as we were sitting together, Daniel looked at me with an intensity that took my breath away. "You know," he said quietly, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about what we've shared these past few months. You've given me something I never expected to find, a connection, a sense of belonging. But I have nothing to offer you in return. I don't want to burden you with my troubles." His words struck me deeply, and in that moment, I realized just how much he meant to me. "You're not a burden, Daniel," I replied, my voice trembling with emotion. "You've given me more than you know. You've shown me what it means to be strong, to find beauty in the simplest of things. You've taught me to see the world differently, to appreciate life in a way I never did before. I care about you, not because of what you can give me, but because of who you are." Daniel looked at me, his eyes searching mine, as though trying to understand what I was saying. Slowly, a smile spread across his face, and he reached out to take my hand. "Thank you," he whispered, "for seeing me, for believing in me." From that day forward, our relationship deepened. We spent more time together, not just in that little corner, but exploring the city, finding joy in the simplest of things, like walking through the park, watching the sunset, or just sitting in silence, enjoying each other's company. The more time I spent with Daniel, the more I fell in love with him. I realized that love wasn't about material things or social status. It was about the connection between two souls, the ability to understand and support each other through life's challenges. Daniel had nothing, yet he had given me everything: his heart, his wisdom, his love. We knew that our relationship would face challenges, society's judgment, financial difficulties, and the uncertainty of the future. But we were determined to face them together. We started making plans for the future, talking about how we could rebuild his life, find him a stable place to live, and eventually build a life together. I helped him get back on his feet, connecting him with organizations that provided support for the homeless. He started working odd jobs, saving money, and slowly, he began to regain his independence. It was a long and difficult journey, but with each step, our bond grew stronger. As time passed, we moved in together, creating a home filled with love, laughter, and the simple joys of life. We knew that we didn't need much to be happy, just each other. Our love story was unconventional, but it was ours, and it was beautiful. As Daniel began to rebuild his life, our relationship grew stronger with each passing day. The love we shared wasn't just romantic. It was a partnership rooted in mutual respect and deep understanding. We were both committed to helping each other grow, and that bond became the foundation for everything that followed. Daniel took on a job as a night watchman at a local warehouse. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work, and it gave him a sense of purpose and dignity. He was determined to save up enough money to eventually leave the streets behind for good. I admired his resilience. Despite the challenges, he never lost the kindness that had first drawn me to him. During the day, when he wasn't working, Daniel began volunteering at a community center that offered support to those experiencing homelessness. He became a mentor to others who were going through what he had endured, using his own story as a source of inspiration. He would often come home and share stories about the people he met and how he was able to offer them hope, just as I had offered him. Despite the strides we were making, there were still many obstacles to overcome. The judgment of others weighed heavily on us. Friends and family didn't understand our relationship, and some even disapproved. They couldn't see past Daniel's past or his current circumstances, and they questioned why I would choose to be with someone who, in their eyes, had nothing to offer. It was painful to see the people I cared about struggle to accept the man I loved, but I knew that their opinions, while important, couldn't dictate my happiness. Daniel and I had found something rare and beautiful in each other, a love that was pure and true. We decided to face the world together, holding on to our belief that our love could withstand any challenge. In the face of adversity, Daniel and I grew closer. We had countless late-night conversations about our future, our fears, and our dreams. We knew that it wouldn't be easy, but we were willing to fight for what we had. Daniel's optimism and unwavering belief in our love were infectious. He constantly reminded me that the opinions of others didn't matter as long as we had each other. One day, a life-changing opportunity came our way. The director of the community center, where Daniel volunteered, had taken notice of his dedication and the positive impact he was making on others. She offered him a permanent position as a counselor, helping those who were struggling to rebuild their lives, just as he had done. It was a dream come true for Daniel. He could now use his own experiences to guide others and make a meaningful difference in their lives. With this new job, Daniel's financial situation began to improve. He saved diligently, and after months of hard work, we were finally able to rent a small apartment together. It wasn't much, a modest one-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood, but it was ours. We spent our evenings decorating it, filling it with personal touches that made it feel like a true home. As we settled into our new life together, the weight of society's judgment began to lift. Those who had doubted us slowly came to see the depth of our love and the strength of our commitment to each other. My friends and family, who had once been skeptical, started to accept Daniel as an important part of my life. They saw how happy we were together and how much we had grown as individuals and as a couple. With stability came the opportunity to dream bigger. Daniel and I began talking about our future, what we wanted to achieve together, the life we wanted to build. We started saving for our long-term goals, such as traveling the world and maybe even starting a family one day. We dreamed of opening a small cafe where people from all walks of life could come together, enjoy good food, and share their stories, just like we had done in that little corner where we first met. Our love for each other grew deeper with each passing day. We learned to navigate life's challenges as a team, always supporting each other through thick and thin. We celebrated our victories together, no matter how small, and leaned on each other during the tough times. Daniel continued to thrive in his role as a counselor. He became a beloved figure at the community center, known for his compassion and understanding. The people he helped often spoke of how Daniel's guidance had changed their lives, giving them the strength to overcome their own hardships. It was clear that he had found his calling, a way to give back and help others find the hope that he had once struggled to hold on to. As time went on, our relationship deepened in ways I never imagined. We had built a life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and a shared sense of purpose. I couldn't imagine my world without Daniel by my side. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Daniel surprised me with a romantic dinner at home. The table was set with candles, and he had cooked all my favorite dishes. As we sat down to eat, I could sense that something was different. There was a nervous energy in the air, and Daniel seemed quieter than usual. After dinner, as we sat on the couch, Daniel took my hand and looked into my eyes. "I've been thinking a lot about us," he began, his voice filled with emotion. "About everything we've been through together and how far we've come. You've given me a second chance at life, and I can't imagine my future without you in it." He paused, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small box. My heart raced as he opened it to reveal a simple, yet beautiful ring. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his eyes shining with love and hope. Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked at the man who had become my world. "Yes," I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. "Yes, I will." Our engagement marked a new chapter in our lives. We began planning our wedding, a small, intimate ceremony with just our closest friends and family. It was a day filled with love and joy as we celebrated not just our union, but the incredible journey we had taken to get there. As we stood together, exchanging vows, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come. From that first encounter in the busy streets of the city to the life we had built together, our love story was one of resilience, hope, and the belief that true love could conquer all. After the wedding, we continued to build our life together, always looking forward to the future while never forgetting the past. We knew that there would be more challenges ahead, but we were confident that we could face anything as long as we had each other. Together, we made the decision to open the cafe we had always dreamed of, a place where people could come to share their stories, find comfort, and connect with others. We named it Second Chances, a tribute to the journey we had both taken to find each other and the love that had changed our lives. The cafe became a beloved spot in the community, known not just for its delicious food and cozy atmosphere, but for the warmth and kindness that filled the space. It was a place where people from all walks of life could come together, just as Daniel and I had done, and find hope, friendship, and maybe even love. Years passed, and our love only grew stronger. We faced life's ups and downs with grace and resilience, always holding on to the belief that as long as we had each other, we could overcome anything. Looking back, I realized that the most beautiful love stories aren't the ones that follow a traditional path, but the ones that are forged in the fires of adversity. Our love was born from hardship and struggle, but it had become something strong and enduring, a love that could withstand the test of time. As we grew older, we often sat together in our cafe, watching the world go by and reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought us together. We had built a life that was rich in love, filled with meaning, and shared with the people who mattered most. It wasn't the material things that defined our happiness, but the connection we shared and the love that had grown from the most unexpected of beginnings. Our story was a testament to the power of love to heal, transform, and uplift, even in the face of life's greatest challenges. And as we sat there, hand in hand, I knew that no matter what the future held, our love would always be the guiding light that led us through the darkness and into the dawn of a new day. As the years rolled on, our cafe, Second Chances, became more than just a business. it evolved into a community hub. Daniel and I poured our hearts into it, and it became a place where people found more than just a good meal. They found connection, acceptance, and a sense of belonging. We noticed that many of our regulars were people who, like Daniel, had faced hardships and were seeking a fresh start. They came to our cafe not just for the food, but for the warmth and understanding they found within its walls. We began offering pay-what-you-can meals for those who couldn't afford a regular price. This initiative was close to Daniel's heart, as he knew firsthand what it meant to go without. We also started a weekly community night where people could come together, share their stories, and support one another. It was inspiring to see how these simple acts of kindness had a ripple effect, bringing people together and fostering a sense of unity in our neighborhood. Our life together was filled with love, but there was one dream we had yet to fulfill: starting a family. We had talked about it often, but the challenges of our early years together had kept us focused on survival and building a stable life. Now that we were more settled, the dream of having a child became more real. After several discussions and some medical consultations, we decided to explore adoption. We wanted to offer a loving home to a child who needed one, just as we had created a space for others in our cafe. The adoption process was long and filled with its own set of challenges, but we were determined. We knew that our love and the life we had built would make a wonderful foundation for a family. After many months of waiting, we finally received the news we had been hoping for. We had been matched with a little girl named Emily. She was 4 years old, with big brown eyes and a shy smile that melted our hearts the moment we met her. She had been through more in her short life than any child should, but she was resilient and full of potential, much like Daniel had been when we first met. Bringing Emily into our home was a transformative experience. She brought a new kind of joy into our lives, filling our days with laughter, curiosity, and the boundless energy that only a child can bring. Daniel was an incredible father, patient, loving, and deeply committed to giving Emily the kind of life he had once only dreamed of. We spent our days teaching her, playing with her, and showing her the world. We took her to the cafe, where she became a beloved fixture, often helping out in small ways and charming the customers with her infectious smile. The cafe, which had once been our labor of love, now became a family affair, with Emily at the center of it all. Parenthood brought with it new challenges, as any parent can attest. We faced sleepless nights, tantrums, and the complexities of helping a child who had experienced trauma adjust to a new life. But through it all, Daniel and I were a team. Our bond, forged in the fires of our own struggles, was unbreakable, and it gave us the strength to face whatever came our way. We were honest with Emily about our pasts in ways that were appropriate for her age. We wanted her to know that life isn't always easy, but that love and perseverance can overcome even the greatest obstacles. As she grew older, Emily began to understand more about where we came from and the journey we had taken to become a family. It gave her a deep sense of gratitude and empathy for others. Emily thrived in our care. She was bright, inquisitive, and compassionate. As she entered school, she quickly became known for her kindness and willingness to help others. We encouraged her to pursue her passions, and she developed a love for music, spending hours playing the piano we had saved up to buy. Watching her grow and flourish was one of the greatest joys of our lives. As the years passed, Daniel and I began to think about the future of Second Chances. The cafe had become a cornerstone of the community, and we wanted to ensure that it continued to serve its purpose long after we were gone. We started training a new generation of staff, many of whom had once been customers who had benefited from our pay-what-you-can initiative or our community nights. It was important to us that the cafe remained a place of hope and support, no matter who was at the helm. One day, while discussing our plans with Emily, she surprised us by expressing her interest in taking over the cafe when she was older. She had grown up within its walls, after all, and it held a special place in her heart. We were thrilled by the idea that our daughter wanted to carry on our legacy. We began teaching Emily the ins and outs of running the cafe, from managing finances to building relationships with customers. She was a quick learner and had a natural affinity for the work. It was clear that she shared our passion for helping others, and we knew that she would bring new energy and ideas to the business. As Daniel and I grew older, we found ourselves reflecting more and more on the journey that had brought us to this point. We had started out as two people from vastly different worlds, brought together by chance and circumstance. But through love, perseverance, and a shared vision, we had built a life that was richer and more fulfilling than either of us could have ever imagined. Our love story was one that defied the odds, a testament to the power of human connection and the belief that everyone deserves a second chance. We had faced countless challenges, but each one had only strengthened our bond and deepened our love for each other. One evening, as we sat together on the porch of our home, watching the sun set over the horizon, Daniel took my hand in his and smiled. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" he said softly. I nodded, feeling a rush of emotion as I looked at the man who had been my partner in every sense of the word. "Yes, we have," I replied, "and I wouldn't change a thing." Daniel squeezed my hand. "I'm grateful for every moment we've shared," he said, "for every challenge, every victory, and everything in between. You've made my life more beautiful than I ever thought possible." Tears welled up in my eyes as I leaned in to kiss him. "And you've done the same for me," I whispered. "I love you, Daniel. I always will." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden light over our home, I knew that our story was far from over. We had built a legacy of love, a legacy that would continue through Emily and the cafe, and through the countless lives we had touched along the way. In our later years, Daniel and I began to slow down, passing more responsibilities to Emily and the team at Second Chances. We spent our days enjoying the simple pleasures of life, walking through the park, visiting friends, and spending time with our beloved daughter. Our home was always filled with laughter, music, and the warmth of family. As we approached our golden years, we were content in the knowledge that we had lived a full and meaningful life. We had faced the trials of life together, and in doing so, we had found a love that was unbreakable, a love that had endured through every hardship and every joy. Daniel and I often talked about how lucky we were to have found each other. Our story had been unconventional, yes, but it was ours, and it was beautiful. We had turned a chance encounter into a lifetime of love and happiness, proving that true love can be found in the most unexpected places. In the end, our story wasn't just about a beggar who won my heart. It was about two people who, against all odds, built a life of love, compassion, and community. It was about the belief that everyone deserves a second chance, and that with love and determination, anything is possible. And so, as we sat together, watching the world go by, we knew that we had left a lasting impact on the world around us. Our love had touched the lives of many, and it would continue to do so long after we were gone. We had lived a life of purpose, a life of love, and for that, we were eternally grateful. Hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe.